In July 2025, the Russian Aerospace Forces (VKS) received a second batch of newly manufactured Su-34 fighter bombers from the Novosibirsk aviation plant. This follows a previous delivery in April of the same year. Although the exact number of aircraft delivered has not been disclosed publicly, a common practice in Russian defense announcements, these batches are widely interpreted as part of a broader effort to replenish losses sustained in Ukraine and to maintain combat air capabilities amidst rising attrition. The Su-34, introduced in the mid-2000s, was designed to be a modern replacement for older tactical bombers like the Su-24. Equipped with side-by-side seating, mid- to long-range strike capability, and a payload capacity rivaling that of strategic bombers, it was intended to operate in heavily contested environments with precision. However, nearly 2 decades later, the aircraft's battlefield reality has fallen far short of these ambitions, particularly since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine began in 2022. The Su-34 has suffered some of the heaviest losses of any Russian combat aircraft. Publicly verifiable losses, including satellite imagery, crash footage, and Ukrainian defense documentation, point to more than 36 aircraft either destroyed in combat or lost to mechanical failure, pilot error, or friendly fire. Real loss numbers may be higher due to Russia's known underreporting and the scale of operational deployment. These aircraft are often employed in high-risk bombing runs, and the lack of sufficient modern standoff munitions has pushed pilots to fly within range of advanced Western-supplied Ukrainian air defenses, which include Patriot, NASAMS, and IRIS-T systems, as well as legacy Soviet platforms. One of the most critical weaknesses in the Su-34's wartime use is the inconsistency and shortage of precision-guided weapons. While Russia has fielded glide bomb kits like UMPB to increase the reach and accuracy of conventional bombs, these remain in limited supply and have not been universally adopted. As a result, many Su-34 missions rely on dumb bombs, often dropped from medium or even low altitude. This significantly increases the risk of interception and has led to poor accuracy in actual combat. Strikes on civilian areas, infrastructure, and unintended targets have been well documented, despite official claims of surgical precision. Modernization efforts have been uneven. A limited number of Su-34s have been upgraded to the Su-34M standard, which includes enhanced radar, improved communications, a new electronic warfare suite, and compatibility with newer weapons. However, because of sanctions and domestic production bottlenecks, the vast majority of the fleet remains in its original or minimally updated form. Without AESA radar, modern digital cockpit systems, or reliable countermeasures, these aircraft are increasingly seen as outclassed by both ground-based threats and modern Western aircraft. Sanctions imposed since 2014, and significantly tightened in 2022, have crippled the Russian defense industry's access to key foreign components. Investigations into the wreckage of downed Su-34s revealed hundreds of foreign-manufactured parts, including microchips, GPS modules, navigation processors, and display systems. Many of these originated from US, Japanese, South Korean, and European firms, and were never intended for military use. Cut off from these sources, Russia has resorted to illicit supply chains, component cannibalization, and makeshift replacements, but with limited success. Delays in aircraft repair, prolonged downtime, and electronic systems failures have become increasingly common. In terms of operations, the aircraft has been involved in numerous accidents, both in combat and during peacetime flights. One of the most infamous occurred in 2022, when a Su-34 crashed into a residential building in Yeysk after suffering an engine failure shortly after takeoff, killing over a dozen civilians. Additional non-combat incidents, including mid-air collisions and failed landings, have raised questions about the sustainability of the current training, maintenance, and deployment tempo. Despite official propaganda portraying the Su-34 as a modern, lethal strike asset, the reality observed on the battlefield contradicts much of this narrative. There have been multiple instances of aircraft filmed operating with basic civilian GPS units in the cockpit, a stark indicator of both technological lag and systemic breakdowns in military logistics and design integrity. State media often promotes the aircraft's supposed effectiveness against high-value targets, yet the actual tactical impact of Su-34 sorties has declined, particularly as Ukraine's air defenses have grown stronger and Russia's ability to conduct high-volume, multi-aircraft raids has diminished. By 2025, the operational state of the Su-34 fleet is fragile. Many aircraft have been destroyed or damaged beyond repair, and replacements, while continuing to roll off production lines, or being delivered too slowly to match the rate of attrition. Russia has struggled to maintain high production rates of combat aircraft across all platforms, not just due to resource constraints, but because of the declining availability of trained labor, imported technology, and reliable components. Even deliveries of new Su-34s, such as those in April and July 2025, are likely limited to small batches, possibly 2 to 6 units per delivery, meaning the net fleet gain remains minimal when losses are factored in. Export interest in the Su-34 has also failed to materialize. Although a prototype wearing desert camouflage was spotted in 2025 and speculated to be an export version, no confirmed international contracts have been reported. This is due in part to the Su-34's weak combat reputation, its dependence on a fragile Russian supply chain, and the growing risk of sanctions or secondary consequences for any state that attempts to acquire it. While the Su-34 was once positioned as a symbol of Russia's post-Soviet airpower modernization, its current state reflects the broader degradation of the Russian military-industrial system under the stress of prolonged war, sanctions, and technological isolation. New deliveries in 2025 may help sustain appearances, but they cannot reverse the structural problems that continue to undermine the aircraft's real-world effectiveness. The Su-34 is increasingly seen not as a forward-looking weapon of war, but as a legacy platform fighting in conditions it was never truly equipped to survive.